Today, we are going to be discussing football, but we're going to be discussing the most important footballers at every Premier League club. One player from each club that we think are the most important in their team. So, Callum, first of
Yeah,
all,
man.
how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, good. So,
Hard to make this list.
yeah, no, and do you know what? It was actually really, really hard. I mean, some of the teams are just so uninspiring that it is literally impossible to kind of get anyone
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
kind of wonder if they disappeared, would anyone even notice?
Well,
But
I'm glad it sounds like you struggled with Arsenal too.
yeah, very funny. But I have got 20 names. Have you got 20 names?
Of course.
What order should we do it in?
Honestly, whatever order you want, I don't mind. I don't even know how. I just written down as how I remembered the teams. Like, there wasn't really a logic to it. I don't mind going alphabetical if that makes it easier.
Yeah, well, I think is I didn't do it alphabetical. I started off going in order of the Premier League for the first two teams, and then abandoned that idea, and then they just kind of came as I remember them.
I mean,
So
we do it if because if you want, you can say your name first. Um, so we'll just go with what team is yours, like whatever one you've got first. I don't
okay,
mind.
yeah, all right, sounds good to me. So first team I've written down Liverpool.
Oh, I had Arsenal written down first. I just thought that'd be a given, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, Liverpool Football Club, first team I've gone for. So my player, who I think is the most important at Liverpool Football Club, Virgil van Dijk. He is the captain, and when he is on, and when he is on it, everyone else is calm. Everyone else can focus on their own jobs because you know that he's going to be in the right place at the right time. He's going to marshal the back line, keep it all tight. The boy is just a brute, a powerhouse of a centre back. And in my opinion, honestly, generational talent. He reads the game so well. He is so strong one on one. He's a menace in either box from a corner. You know, I would be just as confident in getting his nut on it and scoring at one end as I would be of him clearing it at the other. I mean, did he go a whole season? Is that actually true? Did he actually go the whole season with no one beating him in a one-on-one duel?
I think he did, yeah, about 6 years ago.
And now he doesn't even. Oh, I don't know if it's 6 years ago, but and now he doesn't even need to get. He doesn't even need to do that anymore because I feel like he reads the game so well. And when you have somebody, you'll notice a trend because there's a couple of names here who are going to do a similar kind of thing. Is they enable the other talent to sing. I could have gone for Salah. You know, he scored an absolute hatful this season. I could have gone for Salah, or but for me, when you got Van Dijk in there, he allows everyone else. He allows Trent to bomb up the right. He allows Salah to do his thing. The midfield three don't have to worry too much, which is probably not a bad thing, considering who they have there. And I just think if he goes, I feel like suddenly Liverpool are nervy. I think Liverpool will be wobbly, and they haven't conceded barely a thing all season. And I think, yeah, for me, hands down, this is one of my easiest ones for me. Virgil van Dijk, most important at Liverpool.
Um, I mean, did you even watch the game today?
Well, no, but obviously, I mean, that only just happened today. So, I can't, I'm not going to comment on today's football.
Because I just want to say he was at fault for definitely one of the goals, potentially both of them that they conceded, but definitely one. It was all his fault. He did not look comfortable at all. Kanate looked awful. Andy Robertson should retire. Um, yeah. So I had Salah written down,
Hmm.
and also thought I could have gone for him. But I've gone for someone that I really don't think you'd expect me to put, and I'm already going for a goalie.
Oh, okay.
I've gone for Keller.
Yeah, hilarious.
Like, genuinely,
Hey,
I'll tell you for why. I said I'm being deadly serious, and I'll tell you why.
right.
So everything you just said about Van Dijk, and
Hmm.
saying how without Van Dijk they will not be. as good, they won't be as compact, and everybody's nervous. And when they have Van Dijk, they're serious title contenders and they win stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why was it when they had Van Dijk, Andy Robertson, and Trent, but they had Karius, they didn't win nothing?
Well, Karius was a calamity waiting to happen.
And then they went and got a world class, maybe the best in the world, goalkeeper in Allison, didn't they?
Yes.
And obviously Allison has been out, had a few injuries, and obviously this season's now got quite a bad injury.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a goalie that can just come in, without being bedded in, without literally just being rushed in last minute, and is one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I think he gets into most Premier League sides. I think he's such a solid goalkeeper. And today, I'll go back to the game today as well. He dug them out a lot. He's dug them out a lot this season. I think Van Dijk has not been without his mistakes. I think Trent has probably been the most consistent defender. And I think that tells you all you need to know about their defence this season. Andy Robertson's lost his legs. Konate sometimes will just look scared to go in and make the tackle or look completely lost. And obviously Kwanzaa is still very young. But yeah, so for me, I genuinely am not pranking you. I've gone for Keller because I think to fill the void of the best goalkeeper in the world in Allison and do it so well and almost not miss him, I think you have to put mad respect on that. And a lot of their defense and how good it is, a lot of that has been down to him. He's made some exceptional saves this season.
I mean, look, I tell you what, this is a hot take, straight out the trap. My only issue with this is undoubtedly he's come in obviously for Allison and he's doing a job and a good job of that. I shan't take that away from you. And okay, yeah, Karius was I think the less said about that, the better. However, would you not agree that a decent pro goalkeeper worth his salt would be able to come into that and do that job?
So if I said to you then, I've got just a Prem goalie and just a template of a Prem goalkeeper that can get 6 clean sheets a season, save a couple of penalties, put in some good performances, has respectable distribution, rarely makes any mistakes, maybe the odd flub, but overall is a solid goalie, and probably any team that's trying to push for that 10th spot or below it is their starting goalie. Is that what you're trying to say? Like that sort of goalkeeper?
I think so. The one I was thinking of, Aaron Ramsdale last year at Arsenal, wasn't
Aaron Ramsdale last year is a slightly different situation because he wasn't really a backup, was he? He was a number. In fact, we were told he was a number one until he was, given the boot. But what I'm trying to get at here is the reason why I disagree is because didn't Liverpool have this with Adrian? Because I've just described his career at West Ham. And yet we saw Adrian in that team and we didn't see the calm and composed Van Dijk. In fact, we saw a Liverpool team concede an obscene amount of goals and Adrian get the boot as well and be sent off back to Spain. But he was a consistent goalie that started for West Ham. So you've just maybe proven that it's really not a hot take. I mean, a decent Prem goalie can't just walk into that.
I mean, hey, look, it's your list. And and to be fair, I mean, with the Adrian point, you do make a decent point. I'm not going to argue the toss all day on Kelleher. I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love it. But when you use the Adrian comparison, yeah.
At the end of the day, I will concede and say it's Salah. But I mean, there's nothing we can say about Salah that's not really being said. The guy is ridiculous. So, but I just went for someone a bit different, and I went for someone that I do actually think has a real importance in the team.
Yeah, I like it. I actually do. I respect you putting some love on his name. I'll give you that. I've got Man City written down next. Second in the league. Are they still second in the league? Must just about hanging on, aren't
they? Yeah, they are. Yeah, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Brighton all sit a point behind Man City.
Right. Okay. So yeah, they're my second here.
I just want to say,
Yeah,
unless you've got the same thought process, you might get annoyed at mine. But
okay. Well, I hate to be that guy who's going to stick this man in here. Ballon d'Or himself, Rodri. I think the proof is in the pudding, to be honest with you. Best player in the world for a reason. Yeah, he won the Ballon d'Or literally 5 minutes ago. And he really is, for me, he is absolutely integral to how they play. And it just seems like they have no ability to press and keep the shape without him. I mean, 5 lost on the bounce. I mean, and that I can't park that at Rodri's door. I'm not going to literally sit there and say, well, Rodri's gone to there, I'm never going to win again. That's obviously not true. But I do think there is a panic. I think there is definitely a bit of less certainty there. And no doubt their confidence is probably on the floor anyway, which isn't going to help that. Well, I say that though, but with someone like Pep, can that really be the case? I don't know. But for me, they don't keep their shape without him. For me, they certainly don't press like they do without him. And they just, without him, they're just not convincing at all.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
and what actually worries me is just how good is he?
But how do you replace him?
Yeah, but is he that? Is he this good? Because what we're talking about, 5-time champions on the bounce, treble winners was not last season, the season before, and is he that good? Or was it last year? Well, whenever it was, is he that good? I'm starting to think maybe he is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Rodri's also my pick. I just didn't know if you were going to go for someone that was in the squad currently, but I just don't think they have anyone in there at the minute that's worthy of being on this list.
No.
But yeah, obviously, they've lost 5 in a row. And I think as well, he's just so crucial to their style of play. I think even if you don't look at just how talented he is and world class he is, for Pep to be able to get his style of play across, he has to do it through Rodri. And without that, they really do obviously suffer. And it's crazy the amount of space that it just seems to there's just so much space now. Like look, when you watch Tottenham play them, it was just like what Rodri's not there, and all of a sudden the entire pitch is just open. It's really strange, but obviously, I think this is just highlighting that he is that good. I mean, he's got it's a 2.6% loss ratio when he's in the squad. He's played 78 games in the Prem, and they've only had 2 defeats. 27 without him, 9 defeats now, a 33% loss ratio. So
it's eye-watering. That is an eye-watering stat.
And I just think as well is he can just do everything. He's tall as well, so he's good for getting in the box. He is such a good finisher, really underrated finisher.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I think you're saying about the treble and stuff, but maybe a lot of this is down to Pep being obviously one of the best managers of all time, but also potentially Rodri. Also the Euros. I know he didn't factor a big part in the latter stages, but still, yeah. So and. I do genuinely think he is that good. I mean, when do we usually see the Ballon d'Or and the people that vote for that go against Real Madrid or teams in Spain?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he is just that good.
Yeah, I undoubtedly. I mean, he is best player in the world right now, and I don't think there's anything more you can say about it. I just think for as long as he's going to be out for what entire season. It's going to
Well, apparently he reckons he's going to be back. He said he will be back. I don't know, if he means he's going to come back for the last game, but he is adamant that he will be back.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where Man City are when that actually happens, because at this rate, I mean, who knows? Who knows? My next team, Arsenal. And for me, the most important man at Arsenal Football Club right now, Captain Martin Odegaard. Arsenal, for me, play a totally different game with him than without him. He offers a calmness. He increases the time available for all around him. But for me, the biggest plus you get when Martin Odegaard is in the team is what it does to Bukayo Saka out on the right. They have an incredible partnership. He is, I mean, so to a personal level, He is pure quality. He's silky smooth. He oozes class. I believe genuine world-class talent for me and Martin Odegaard. And when he's in the team,
Yeah, world class talent, not world class.
well, when he plays alongside Saka, Saka will invariably play much, much better. Down the right, I would say Arsenal are borderline unstoppable when Martin Odegaard is in the team. That is where all the attacks come from. That's where the goals come from. When he was out, I thought Arsenal looked just a shell of what they play like when he is in the team. So for me, Martin Odegaard, once again, this is one of the easy ones for me. I think is the most important player at Arsenal.
I probably would have agreed with you if it hadn't been for this season. One player really standing out above the rest, and something that you might get a theme of, and Rodri's like the only exception, is my player has to. I mean, 12 games have been played in the Prem so far. Par, obviously Newcastle and West Ham, and I think that they have to have played pretty much all of them, or come on. And obviously Odegaard hasn't done that. And the thing is, when he did go missing, you've still picked up points. Rodri's gone missing, and City literally cannot win. They can't even get a draw. They're destined for 0 points until he comes back. So for me, and I really don't want to be doing this, but for me, it's Gabriel. He's played all 12 of the games. He has played a total of 97% of minutes in the Prem that you possibly could. Only 2 yellow cards, by the way, for someone that I would tell you on the regular is rash, with also 0 errors leading to goal and 4 clean sheets. A pass completion of around 90%, with around 90% of those being forward. And now when I watch Gabriel play, I always think that he just passes to his big brother Saliba, and Saliba does something with it. But obviously this season, Saliba not necessarily has fallen off, but he's definitely not at the level he was of the last 2 years. Well, not yet anyway. He's played more than Saliba. He's played more minutes. Saliba's got no goal involvement, same amount of yellow cards, but also a red. And I think Gabriel scoring goals. He's also played all of your Champions League games. I just think to be available constantly, to be fit, to look so composed, and especially when you've had so much go on. You haven't had an injury crisis, but you have had a crisis in defence. And for him to just sort of rise above the rest, and someone that me personally, he would have been the last person that I would have expected. I value him down there with like Zinchenko. I've been really, really impressed with him, and I think I'm slowly hating him less. And for me, I've spoken before about Bastoni being probably the best centre back in the world, but I think if it's not Bastoni on the left in world football right now, you have to take Gabriel. For me, I think he's so important to you. And you've been without Odegaard, and you've still got points. You've been without Saliba, and you've still got points. I would really seriously worry in the next game if Gabriel wasn't playing. What your team would look like. I think you'd be affected so much more. And maybe that's crazy to say. Maybe this is also a hot take, but I think Gabriel is your most important player.
I'm not going to complain. I actually really love Gabriel, as you well know. So I'm going to take that all day long and be over the moon with it. Not a hot take for me at all. My next team I've got written down here is Chelsea. So this was
Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that.
I kind of ummed and ahed here because 3 names are swirling around my head.
Oh, come on, is that how good we are?
Yeah, that is how good you are. 3 names swirled around my head, and in the end, I settled on Moises Caicedo. A bit like you said a minute ago, your theme that's going to kind of run through it is the amount of time they've played. My theme, a lot of the time, is going to come round to being what I call an enabler. With Caicedo in there, in that CDM role, doing his job as an anchor, holding the line, offering protection to his defense, cutting off the pitch, but also having the vision and ability to set up attacks and get them on their way, has allowed, the talent that you have up top to really shine. I could have gone for the obvious and said ice cold Cole Palmer being one of your best, well, being the most important player at Chelsea right now. But for me, I could have said Nick Jackson, who I think is defying all criticisms that had unfairly leveled at him, by the way.
I never did.
No, I know you didn't, but as others have. But for me, all of that is only possible because of somebody like Caicedo, who was in there doing the nitty gritty, doing the ugly, often unpraised work that he does so well, may I add. And then also being the one who often, will at least get things going in the right direction as well. He is consistently brilliant at what he does for me. I just think Caicedo gets it. I just think he is now starting to shed that, ridiculous weight that comes with his hefty price tag, and also shift. Look at the start he had at Chelsea under Poch. Let's be fair, it didn't get off to the greatest start, but I think he's starting to leave all that behind. And actually, I would say, I mean, obviously, I'm not in the dressing room, but he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet, as far as I'm concerned. So for me, it's Moises Caicedo.
I agree. I think he definitely is the first name on the team sheet. And I think, I haven't really. There's nothing really I can say because everything you said is what I would say. But just to highlight, so obviously he's been available for every single game. Played 98% of any, all the minutes that he could possibly play in the Premier League. 13% goal participation already in his position, with a goal and 2 assists. His ability to pick out balls is almost Jorginho level, and that's kind of what we got Enzo for. So he's kind of also occupying the Enzo role when Lavia is next to him. So he's adding more to his game, even more than what we initially bought. He's the only player in the Prem this season to complete 30 plus tackles, 500 plus passes, win 50 plus duels, and win possession 50 plus times. So for me, he is absolutely not affected by the price tag anymore. Is playing in positions obviously that we would not necessarily expect him to be playing. So yeah, for me, I think with how good our attack has been this season, and for once it's actually our defense that's the issue. I think we need him as protection, but also I think if Cole Palmer didn't play and you put Nkunku in his position or João Felix, I think we could on our day still beat most teams. So I think, yeah, absolutely, he is the first name on the team sheet. And for that reason is why I have him over Cole Palmer, because I think, if he's the first name on the team sheet, then surely by default that makes him the most important. So, yeah, there's nothing really more I can add to it. But, yeah, it's 100% Caicedo. Incredible player.
He has been quality. He has been absolute quality. And now from quality to the frankly... how would we describe this team? Manchester United is the next team I have written down. This for me was really tough to pick one, and that's not me, going at the low hanging fruit here and having a pop at Man United because they've been in the doldrums for a while. But this is actually because I wonder if they have an important player at all. And when I say that, it's because just for me, when I sit and watch them, I'm not sure if any one player is missing, if it actually affects anything anyway. I just found them so bland and just so uninspired at every turn. However, it wouldn't be a very good podcast if we said we're going to pick 20 of the most important players at each club, and then I didn't pick one for Manchester United. So I have gone for Bruno Fernandes because he is a decent cam. There's no way around that. He is a decent cam. He does have vision and he does have the ability to create something out of nothing. He has a particular penchant for the spectacular, can ping him in from anywhere. And being the dead ball taker, I kind of feel like he's always going to be chipping in with bits, whether that be sticking a pen away, whether that be a free kick, either in on someone's noggin or top bins, corners as well. As much as this wasn't the easiest for me to pick, I would I would wonder if Manchester United would necessarily be getting the goals that they get without Bruno Fernandes in the team. And for that reason, he has to be my pick.
Um, this team wasn't difficult for me.
Okay.
There is one player, and it's not Bruno Fernandes,
Hmm.
because a lot of the goals this season, Dallo has been crucial in their goals. Ericsson has been popping up a lot recently. Um, Garnacho. So,
Yeah, I must admit, Garnacho I flirted with, but yeah.
but where they are, you know, in their current season and the points they've got, and again, I can even talk about the game today. This man of the match. This player was.
Mhm.
Um, they would be down there with Leicester and Wolves if it wasn't for Onana.
Okay, yeah, and do you know what? Actually, I don't hate that at all because
With how bad they've been, all 12 games he's obviously played, he's been available, conceded 13. Not ideal, but also not awful considering how, you know, we think of them recently under Ten Hag and with Van Nistelrooy. Um, saved a penalty. He's got 5 clean sheets
hmm
in that time. And, just definitely their most consistent. 33 saves already. He saved 11 big chances.
hmm
I don't actually think there's a goalie that's done more. I believe. Um, yeah, and again today. Oh my god, he rescued them. They drew to Ipswich, but Ipswich could have got 3 or 4. Um, I think Amarin's got a real problem there with the centre backs. He's gone to a back three, but he needs about 16 of them to stop these goals because these centre backs can't defend. But what Onana can do is he can shot stop. Unbelievable shot stopper. His distribution's better. He's not making mistakes. He's so vocal. Something he didn't do before is, especially last season, he wasn't communicating. He just kind of, and then the goal felt bigger. He felt smaller. Definitely not the Onana we saw at Ajax and Inter, but this Onana I think is better. It's like that season adjusting to the Prem, Man United being no good. I think has really brought something out in him, and he is becoming a leader. And for me, has definitely been their best player this season because Bruno Fernandes and all the attackers, I can't give it to them when they've got they're in terms of chances created per 90, they're down there with like Southampton. So I think all their attackers need to be docked wages until they start playing, how you would expect them to. But Onana is probably on form, the best goalkeeper in the league, and yeah, definitely the most important player at Manchester United currently.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm actually really annoyed at myself. I feel like I need to give myself lines for this for this poor choice because I actually said only recently to you, I believe it was, that I thought he's been one of the most improved players when we talked football before. From the Onana of last season to this season has literally been a transformation. So it's going to be a smack on the wrist, I think, for me. And I've put Fernandez down now, but I wish I hadn't. So yeah, well, yeah, there's nothing I can do about it other than have a word with myself later. But yeah, I actually love your pick. So yeah, much prefer that. So my next team is Newcastle. Newcastle, and
Oh, this was a difficult one.
yeah, and in actual fact, I had somebody else written down and scribbled them out, um, and then kind of
Was
thought
it
about
Bruno Fernandes?
no, and then I thought of somebody else, and then I didn't quite get as far as writing them down, but in the end, I settled with Isaac. So Isaac is fluid, dynamic. He runs at people. He's a great dribbler and one of the best finishers in the league. Now, you don't need to be Albert Einstein to be able to point all that out. but I feel like they really, really missed him when he was out. I watched games when they had Anthony Gordon, who was the other one who I kind of flirted with. Um, and I also flirted a little bit with. Well, actually, in actual fact, I do actually really like Newcastle. I enjoy watching Newcastle play. I think they've actually got some really, really good talent in there. I think they've got a decent back line. I think Dan Burns will be really good this season. I think Joel Linton's really important for them and the way that they play. I think Fabian Schär is a really good centre back. But they missed Isak big time. Anthony Gordon, as good as he is, the fact he can play everywhere, wasn't really suited up top. And what Isak brings, he makes them shine. And if they create chances, which they do, he will invariably take them. And for me, when Isak isn't in that team, I would worry about Newcastle. I would worry if he goes. I think they're going to have a bit of a job on replacing him. So for me, that's why, in the end, despite the fact that I, you know, kind of undernard over it, why I've settled on him.
Hmm. Yeah, of course they'll have a job replacing him. I think most important and then or best player, regardless, those are the two most important, players. So um again, kind of fitting my theme, I didn't go for Isak because he hasn't been available all season. Um and also dipped in and out of form quite a lot already this season, with not much football being played. Um and I just don't think he's been consistent enough. So for me, I've gone with Anthony Gordon. Been available since the first match week, um, and yes, he was getting played out of position when Isak wasn't available, but he's still available. And because he's so important, they used him as their focal point. And granted, it didn't work, but again, they still picked up points, something that City can't do without Rodri. And at the start of the season, again, like I said, Isak was dipping in that form, and Newcastle were probably one of the worst teams. Like, with they deserved to lose every game they played those first 6 games, but they were like right at the top because they kept getting something that was getting them over the line, and that was Anthony Gordon. So for me, I haven't really got much more to say. I'm not like you. I don't really have a soft spot for Newcastle. I think they're dull as ditch water, and Eddie Howe's no time for it. But yeah, I think Anthony Gordon has been their most important player. But granted, Isak is definitely their best player, and they will have a harder time replacing him than Anthony Gordon for sure.
I know I like Anthony Gordon. I like Anthony Gordon, so I don't hate it. Aston Villa, my next team, and oh boy, am I looking forward to talking about this man. So
Maybe one person, surely.
well, let's see. I have gone for Ollie Watkins.
Huh?
Yeah, no, no, hang on a minute. Hang on
No,
a
no,
minute.
no, no.
Yes, yes, yes. Hang on a
Okay,
minute.
well, just being deadly serious, this one can never get released.
No, please, just hear me out a minute. The essence of football is to score more goals than your opponent. Okay? So naturally, a good striker is vitally important to in any team. And with Ollie Watkins, you do get it all. If a team is playing high and they're pressing, you need a player to run in behind with decent pace. Ollie Watkins. You need a brute to hold it up, especially if it's tight and make room for the wingers. Ollie Watkins. Need a striker to be Johnny on the spot and wait for the ball to come in via land, sea, or air and stick it bottom bins. Ollie Watkins. He came back from the Euros and was out, and obviously didn't train, didn't start the season, and Aston Villa were, a little bit hapless. If I could have picked the most important person at Aston Villa and said Unai Emery, I would. But Ollie Watkins, even and the thing is we can look at all the metrics that you like. He offers it all. All those things he can do. I love Morgan Rogers. I think Morgan Rogers has been sensational this year. I think Emmy Martinez so deserved to get the best goalkeeper at the awards. But Ollie Watkins, he is the player for me that you've got to score goals to win games. And in Ollie Watkins, they have somebody who can do it in every single way, every type of striker. He can do it all. Love that guy, Ollie Watkins.
So Can you go back and redo your list? Because if it's just about goals win games, then you can't have Rodri in there, I'm afraid.
Well, no, I know, but I'm. It's he. Look what he offers. He offers everything. He can do everything. He can do things.
Okay, sorry. Okay, right.
He's
I'm
three
gonna say
strikers in one.
yeah, that's fine. Right, so we've established you fancy Ollie Watkins. I'll now tell you my one. Irrespective of how nice their hair is. I've gone for Morgan Rogers, because he is their most important player this season.
And he's been incredible. He's been incredible. But Morgan Rogers wasn't even a thing last year. And look at Ollie Watkins last year because he does it all. He's three strikers in one.
Well, I know, but for instance, I have to look at currently. Otherwise, would you now go back and take Moises Caicedo out then and put Cole Palmer there? If you're
No,
now going to talk to me about 2 years ago.
no, I know, but we just have to be fair here to 3-1 Ollie Watkins.
So, have you not got one for Ipswich because you don't know a single Ipswich player a year ago, or is it Calvin Phillips?
No, I've got. Look, when we get to Ipswich, we'll get.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm sure you've got an Ipswich player, and that's lovely.
Of course, yeah.
But you weren't watching that Ipswich player a year ago.
Correct.
But you're telling me that Ollie Watkins has to be in there because of what he did last year. So by default, then Calvin Phillips is now your Ipswich player.
I know what you're saying. I know. Look, let's talk about Morgan Rogers.
Yeah,
I
I will, but unfortunately, the monkey keeps shouting over me. So Morgan Rogers, he has been available every single game. He's 3 goals, 2 assists, has 5 goal involvements in the Prem already. He's had an assist in the Champions League. He was unreal in definitely 2 of the games that I watched of Aston Villa in the Champions League and was running the midfield. He can play across the attack. You know, Ollie Watkins, we get told he reinvents himself, and that's why he's 3 strikers in one. And he can play on the wing. He's an awful left winger. He's just not good. Fair enough, he can play there. I could go at left wing. He's just not very good there. Morgan Rogers, unbelievable on the right, unbelievable on the left. Has played up top, centre forward. He's just ridiculously talented footballer, and he's just so exciting to watch. He runs the midfield so well. And something that the reason he has played so many minutes, and the reason why Morgan Rogers a year ago no one cared about what they do now, is because his passing and his link-up play is pinpoint accurate. It's perfect. Quick movement off the ball, sharp turns, really impressive runs, reads the game so well, and his pressing is just ridiculous. The guy has the engine of John McGinn, just doesn't look like a spud, and that is Emery's style of play right there. Ollie Watkins does not adopt Emery's style of play. Emery has just found a way to adopt Watkins into his style of play. But Morgan Rogers is literally Unai Emery in the way he, thinks up football, personified. So in that reason, he has to stand out in that team. And weirdly enough, just to touch on Ollie Watkins, he'd even come into my head. I thought of Duran because of the impact he has off the bench for games. I thought of John McGinn. John McGinn's been playing off the left, and just such an underrated footballer. I think Onana's been incredible this season. Tielemans has been back to his best. Pau Torres is arguably, like what you were saying about Van Dijk, for that Aston Villa system, so crucial to Aston Villa's defence. And I think I don't even think of Emi Martinez either. I think he's been a little bit hit and miss at times this season. Still so deserved of the award though. But yeah, for me, it just has to be Morgan Rogers. And to say Ollie Watkins is just lunacy. I don't understand it.
Well, look, this is your list. This is my list. Yeah, I know for a fact that if I was to, get Tielemans to ping a whipped ball across the 6-yard line, I know Ollie Watkins would be there to bundle it home. But
I don't disagree with that. But why? But so you've gone for Isak, you've gone for Watkins, but you didn't go for Haaland. So either you know what you're talking about or you don't. But you're kind of in the between at the minute.
But I'm looking at Ollie Watkins because he's 3-1. I love
keep
that.
Saying that. What is that? Is he whipping the ball himself?
No, but he's
and then finishing it. What does that mean?
Let's look at my description again. So you're getting pressed. Okay, you got a team who are right up in your business, pushing you up high, and you get an opportunity to whip a ball over the top, double quick, and you need someone to latch on and run at it. Ollie Watkins, one. You've got the ball, but the defense is standing firm. And you want to kind of get your wingers. You want to get Morgan Rogers in. You need somebody to ping the ball out, hold the ball up to allow Morgan Rogers to bring the defense towards that central focus point to make room for Morgan Rogers. You're talking about Ollie Watkins. That's your second one. And like I said, if you need someone to be Johnny on the
I
spot,
disagree with that. What you just said there isn't how it's been played this season.
yeah, but he can.
Yeah, but right, that's cool and all, but McGinn is the reason there's space there. McGinn's been put on the left to just hound that side and make as much space as possible. And Morgan Rogers then operates all through. Because also, if Ollie Watkins was so crucial to that, then why is Duran coming on and doing it in like 70 less minutes?
Well, look, we always have super subs in football. That goes without saying.
So, but what I'm saying, I think I like Ollie Watkins, but he's not top three strikers in the league right now, regardless of even being most important player. And I think that all the other stuff is stuff you have to respect. And this is what I'm saying. You've done it with Rodri. You did it with Odegaard. You know, you could have easily have done Kai Havertz for the start of the season, and he's the one scoring goals, right? And Haaland. But okay, Jack knows ball. He makes sense. And then we've gone from that to Isak. And this is going to be, I don't know who it's going to be next. Liam Delap. Oh, it's crazy.
Well, we'll worry about Ipswich when we get to Ipswich. But before we get to Ipswich, we're going to have to get to the other side of North London, as I've written down, Tottenham. I'm probably going to be relatively quick going through this. I did initially find this quite a tough pick because I would have preferred to have picked a position rather than a player. What with how Tottenham set up, it's for a man, it's high intensity, high press, and in that kind of system, I think a cam is really important because that's going to be the player who you need to operate in a really tight space to make some room to pick out a ball to kind of make those chances. But I can't put someone like Maddison in because of the inconsistency. I actually like Kulusevski in that position as well, but he never plays there. But for me, the most important player at Spurs has been, and I actually think has been for a couple of seasons now, is Pedro Porro. I think he is actually a really, really good fullback. I think the way as an attacking fullback, I think he's incredible. I think he gets himself into positions which you'd be quite impressed if it was an out and out winger. He's got a great finish on him as well, and I think he has been for a man has been one of their best players. I know Brennan Johnson has had a really, really good start to the season. I do, however, still have question marks over Brennan Johnson. I actually think he's playing above himself a little bit at the minute. So for me, for consistency, for what he offers, I've given it to Pedro Porro as I can't give it to a position.
So, not to be that guy, but a bit like with the Ollie Watkins situation, do you watch football?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Because I've gone for that exact position and I picked a player that's been put in that position this season, and you even mentioned him. After about 4 games this season, and from that game to now, even when they played Man City, Kulusevski has been playing as an attacking midfielder in the centre, and hence why he's my pick. But cool, we'll go for an inconsistent Pedro Porro that refuses to defend, but scores a couple of times. 5 goal involvements for Kulusevski already, 2 goals, 3 assists. Obviously transitioned into the midfield over being a winger, where I thought he was very, very inconsistent and didn't have the pace to run off the shoulder of players and stuff like that, but is technically, very gifted. 6 big chances created, Now, if you take out Ollie Watkins' goals, that's more than your Bruno Fernandes. That's also more than your Ollie Watkins, but we'll go with Pedro Porro. Also, 13 tackles, eight of those he's won. Six of those have been in dangerous positions. His pressing has been unbelievable. Basuma's getting a lot of praise this season. Sarr and other midfielders. He is running the midfield. Even more so that having watched the game the other day, the Man City game, Maddison had his best game I've seen in the Tottenham shirt, and he was playing at DM, pinging balls. Because Kulusevski just had it covered. So I agreed with your initial premise, but I then disagree with your player, because there is a player there who's been one of the better, like genuinely one of the better players in the league this season, and probably the most improved player I've seen this season in Kulusevski. So for me, he easily goes in. Also, more big chances created than Isak. So, but Pedro Porro, man.
Yeah, look. I mean, if you want to try and get a conversation out of me about Spurs players, then
No. I'm trying to talk to you about
I'd-
football, but apparently that's going to be awkward as well. But we'll go on to the next thing.
Nottingham Forest.
Oh, this was a tough one.
Yes, I also agree. This was a tough one, but
You're going to go Chris Wood?
Yeah, and you're going to shout at me because I have gone Chris Wood.
Yeah, well, goals win games, isn't it?
Goals do win games, and goals are vitally important, especially. Well, okay, I thought they were going to be languishing, and when you're languishing near the bottom, you need to score goals to stay up. That is without, you know, that just is when you're fighting for survival, you need to score goals. Now I know they're not fighting for survival at the minute, but it is early doors. But look at how Forest play. Really, really good on the counter, and with really, really good pace down each wing. I come back to what I was trying to make the case with Aston Villa. When you play in that kind of way, you need a big, strong centre forward who is able to take opportunities reliably, can hold it up to make space, and then you are talking about Chris Wood. So, they had no outlet against Arsenal yesterday, did they? Even when they did get on the counter, that there was no outlet. I think they miss him when he's not there. And he does the job, and he suits the way they play. You miss him when he's not there, so that's why I've gone Chris Wood.
If he was their most important player, why, when a one-year's back from injury, did they drop him?
Well, yeah, I mean,
because these are paid professionals. This is their job. So, and you would like to think that Nuno, out of anybody in his backroom staff, would know their strongest players and their most important players.
Mm-hmm.
So why did they drop the most important player at Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, but then certain games can require different tactics.
No, because this is the most important player for the team. So no, Pep isn't dropping Rodri when he's fit to go and play Burnley, is he?
Well, no, of course.
No. Ollie Watkins doesn't get dropped. That's why Duran's on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Fernandes doesn't get dropped. And in fact, I don't think anybody in my team here has been dropped this season. So why is it that the most important player for Notts Forest in a massive game when they're in great form against a big team where they're going to need their best players and their most important players, why when a one-year's back does he get dropped?
Well, perhaps he won't going forward. Perhaps they've learned from their errors.
No, I'm asking you why you think that. I'm not trying to get you to guess. I'm just saying, why do you think if he's them? Because you're telling me that he's their most important in your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, Odegaard's not going to get dropped when he's fully fit, is he?
Right.
Ollie Watkins doesn't. Caicedo isn't. First name. These are the first names on the team sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, why do you think that they drop Chris Wood?
Well, the only thing I can think is that Nuno took leave of his senses for 5 minutes. I don't think he gets dropped going forward now.
Okay.
Who've you got for
it? The most important player at Nottingham Forest. I've gone for Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get dropped. He's played every single game, been available. He was a sub in one game, but that's because he apparently had an illness or something. So they didn't want to risk it, but they still. Then they were saying about it. Nuno was talking before the game that he'd only bring him on if he had to, and he had to because he's the most important player in that team. He's only had 2 goals, so nothing flashy there. But he is so positive on the ball. He's always looking to drive forwards. His dribbling's unbelievable, and the space he makes in that box. A lot of Chris Wood's goals and the space that man has afforded himself. There's brick walls that will turn quicker than Chris Wood, and Chris Wood finds himself and has afforded so much space because of the drive and the sheer just skill of Callum Hudson-Odoi. And he's just every time Hudson-Odoi gets the ball, it's dangerous because you don't know if he's going to cut onto his right foot, cut onto his left foot. He's played, again, like Morgan Rogers, across the entire midfield this season. So he's got so many facets to his game. We know what Chris Wood's going to do. And that's why he got dropped, because Chris Wood is one-dimensional. He isn't Ollie Watkins, who's revolutionised the striker, and he's a 6-in-1, as you would say. He is just a very one-dimensional striker, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't make you the most important, and that's why he was dropped. Hudson-Odoi, 90% pass completion, and 49% of those are forward passes. And the reason that I highlight this is because his link-up play across the defence, he is orchestrating their entire spell of possession is orchestrated by Hudson-Odoi. He drops deep. He played wing-back. He only a few games for Thomas Tuchel, but I believe now he'd be unbelievable there. Unfortunately, he would sacrifice some of his attacking play, but he is linking up the play so well. He's playing almost as a free role, as if Hazard did in those times for Chelsea. He's getting so many tackles in dangerous areas. I just think he at the moment is undroppable. I think you look at a lot of players in there because they have such they have a squad full of depth. He is definitely undroppable and proved that. Obviously, they didn't win the game, but that was definitely proven when the most important player didn't get dropped and the brick wall did.
Well, I'm. It's your list. That's all I'm going to say. But moving on swiftly to Fulham now. Oh, I like this boy. I like this boy a lot. We had R9. We had, kind of still have, CR7. And now we have ESR10. Well, he is ESR10 at Arsenal. I actually don't know what shirt he has at Fulham. The Croydon De Bruyne. Emil Smith-Rowe. So, look, this was actually, I've kind of built him up a bit because I really like this kid. This is a strong, solid Fulham side. They are a class outfit this season. And they're a tough game for anyone.
Not Wolves.
Well, no, not Wolves. But with Emil Smith-Rowe, one of their best players, great vision, great ability. He creates chances in every single game. What a signing! I got a feeling I might know who you're going to pick, and I think that unit in there with who I think is going to be your player works really, really well. But I could watch Emil Smith-Rowe. I just think he's great. I just think he's a sensational player. According to Bruyne.
So not the most important.
No, because they're often synonymous with each other, are they not?
The guys had like no goal involvements in like 8 games.
But please tell me about Alex Iwobi.
I can tell you that he's the most important player at Fulham.
Yeah, there you go. But look, it's not a bad thing. It's a great midfield, isn't it? ESR and Iwobi together.
Not to do with you and go back to years, but prior to this season, but Iwobi, whether it's on the left or right or in the midfield, has remained ever present in that Fulham side when fit.
Yep.
Under Marco Silva.
Mm-hmm.
And every season, people are shocked at how good Fulham are playing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anyone's particularly shocked at how well they're doing this season now, because it's kind of expected with Marco Silva. Mm-hmm. Smith-Rowe started very nicely, but has fizzled out and become the Smith-Rowe of old, sadly for you who likes him. Iwobi is class. There is literally not an area of his game that he can't do. You know, he defensively pressing the ball, passing, dribbling, strength, even I mean, he scored his goal against Wolves was unbelievable. You know, when no one at Fulham could string a couple of passes together, he just comes out with some sheer brilliance. Um, yeah, no, it is a Wobie. So, and you've proven to me this Iwobi because you knew who I was going to pick straight away, and moreover, your whole reasoning for Smith Rowe was just saying Croydon De Bruyne over again, giving him some nicknames, and saying you really like the boy. That doesn't make anyone important. I'm sure Jack Grealish and Doku could have their names abbreviated with their numbers next to it, but no one's picking them.
Like it, look, I like Iwobi. I wasn't gonna. You were gonna wax lyrical over Iwobi, and I felt that Smith Rowe deserves some love. And look, you've described Alex Iwobi, right? And this isn't a motoring podcast. I just want to put that out there for all who are going to listen. The way you described Alex Iwobi, it's a bit like a. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a nice car. A Kia Sportage, right? It's really good. The family will love it. You're happy to bring it home to meet mum and dad. You can. It's gonna last you 7 years. It's got 100,000 mile warranty, right? But then if I said to you, what would you rather? Would you rather a Kia Sportage, or would you rather a Rolls Royce? When can you pick the Rolls Royce?
I'd say I'd take whatever Ollie Watkins has got because he can drive 3 cars at once.
Yeah, okay, very good. Let's move swiftly on from Fulham, and let's go south of the river and talk about Crystal Palace. So I have got, and this one I kind of went around a bit, had a look at
This
a
is
few days.
difficult.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not sure anyone has, for me, stood out hugely. I think they have struggled. I have said though that their most important player is Mark Gurhey, because what he is a classy, strong, composed, talented centre back, and despite their struggles, is an integral component. Got to be one of the first names on the team sheet. I think he needs to move to a top six side to unlock his full potential. Because I think he is. I think he could do it. I think he could go to a top six side and make waves. If he was injured, say he went out injured and he was gone for the next 7 months, I would dread to think where Palace could end up. I mean, I don't know what more you could say about him. I just think he's by default he has to be hugely important because he is. I've got to say top of the class when it comes to Crystal Palace.
I also have Gurhey, and there is no one else to pick. And I haven't even got that much to say. You've managed to jazz it up a little bit. It's so bad over there.
Yeah, I agree. It is bad over
Because
there.
there's people over there that I like. I like Kamada. I like Adam Wharton. I like Mateta. I like Eze, who's on form, probably one of the worst in the league. I like Munoz, their right back. I like Dean Henderson. I like Trevor Chalobah, who's on loan now. I like Lacroix, who's come from Wolfsburg. Tyrick Mitchell, I think, is a super, super, super underrated fullback. But they're all just so bad. Whereas Gurhey's all right. And I'm trying to follow a theme here of players that are constantly available. Gurhey missed like the first 5 games because it looked like he was going to Newcastle. So he hasn't been available. But when he has been, he's just been so much better than this team, I think, would lose to most championship sides at the moment. They're just so, so bad. So yeah, I've also got Gurhey, but I think, I don't know, I just want to move on to another team because I'm getting depressed.
Yeah, well, let's save your depression and move on to Ipswich. Yeah.
There's no one ever.
Well, yeah, and look, this was hard, and you're gonna get the ump and throw things at me.
Yeah,
I
it's fine.
expect.
Just say the lap and we can
Yeah,
move
I'm
on.
gonna say Liam Delap. I'm gonna say Liam Delap because I'm gonna say it again. Scoring goals in this league, especially when you're a newly promoted side, is so hard, but it is so key for survival. You don't score goals, you go straight back down. Literally, that is just it. He's been in great form, and he is scoring goals, and he's scoring goals in the Premier League. And I feel if they are going to survive, they will survive because of him and his goals. I do think there is some decent players at Ipswich for what it's worth. When I've watched them this season, I don't look at them and think, well, what an absolute shambles. They're gonna, they're not the Derby County that I remember as a kid who went down with, I think they had 6 points or something. They're stupid. I think Amari Hutchinson is a decent player, but
Oh my god.
I do.
No,
But
no, it's frustrating because I haven't put the lap, obviously, is why
yeah,
I've been making these comments. But then you talk about Murray Hutchinson, who has just struggled all season. But you just have to get someone in there that's got some sort of Arsenal background.
I just said he's a decent player. But Liam Delap, he scores goals, and goals will be the thing that keeps Ipswich up. If Ipswich stay up, they stay up because of him, and that's why he's the most important player.
Is every is everyone else in your team strikers, by the way? Like all your other the rest of
No,
them?
there's no,
But
there's a
why?
cut. No, because
No. Goals win games, Jack. Change it.
goals, yeah, goals, which is why there might be a particular
Change it.
leaning towards Liam Delap. If they stay up, it's because of him, and that is the truth. If they stay up, they
So
will stay up because of him.
just quickly, why have you not got Haaland in there? He's got the most goals in the league.
Oh, I know, because it's obviously it's not, but for certain teams it is though. For certain teams it is. No, not for everyone, but for certain, especially
I,
when
I
you're at the bottom of the
I
table.
agree. I just want to know when we're getting someone that isn't a striker. But anyway, um, I've gone for Leif Davies.
Mhm.
Again, he's played every single minute of every single game in the Prem this season. At left back with a goal and 2 assists and only one yellow card. You know, in a team that predominantly obviously have a lot more fouls and stuff. Um, with I think something I read like a 60 to 70 tackle success rate. So it's not that he's not putting the work in, he's just obviously doing a good job. Um, so yeah, 23 goal% participation already. And coming from the championship, he was mucking about, sort of when he was younger with Bournemouth, then Leeds, never really settled, went to Ipswich, and just had an insane trajectory of them. And he's just settled to life in the Prem so well. Um, had a clean sheet already with Ipswich as well. Reminds me very much of Alfie Doughty from Luton last year. Same position, doing the same sort of thing, managing to be such an attacking threat in a team that you probably wasn't necessarily expect it. And yeah, I just think he's so positive. You expect sometimes those sort of teams. Obviously, they can play good football and expansive football and really want to go on the front foot, like Southampton, who just need to maybe stop for a minute. But he is class, and it's not, and he just for me stands out from the rest. I think the lap obviously 6 goals already is insane. Um, but I think Leif Davies just has everything. I think he's good defensively. He gets involved in the midfield, sometimes an inverted fullback, which you expect from better coaches and better teams to integrate this. And I don't even think that's so much McKenna integrating that. I just think that's something that Leif Davies is adding because he reads the game so well. So yeah, I just think, and to be such an attacking threat as he is in that side, for me, I would go Leif Davies. But I don't actually, all joking aside, I don't hate Liam Delap as much as I do Chris Wood and Isak and other things. Um, but yeah, I've gone Leif Davies.
Okay, well, let's see how much you dislike my Wolverhampton Wanderers pick.
Oh, Cunha.
Yeah, it is Cunha, actually. And this, no one can
This
argue with it.
this is getting silly now.
No,
This
it's
this
not
one,
getting
no,
silly.
this can't go out ever. I mean,
This isn't getting
this is
silly
bad.
because once again, we have a side who are fighting for survival, don't we, in Wolves? If you're going to be
Yeah.
fighting for survival, you need
But
to score goals.
goals win games, and that's why they're in the relegation zone.
Yeah, but he's got 10 direct goal involvements, which for a side where they are, I mean, for a side in the bottom half of the table, I think that's really quite impressive. But for a side who are near the bottom, 10 direct goal involvements, he's got the flair and the ability you'd expect from a Brazilian attacking player. If I feel like I'm repeating myself from the Liam Delap point. If Wolves are gonna survive, they're going to survive because of Kuna and his goals. 10 direct goal involvements is all I'm going to say. Let's leave that there, I think.
I've gone for Aït-Nouri at left back.
Mhm.
3 goals already, and 2 assists. He's been available every single game. Played 94% of the minutes available in the Premier League. I can't remember the exact stat, but his passes forwards and backwards and passes completed and stuff is super even because he is just everywhere. The engine on him is ridiculous. Linking up the play so well, allowing the team to play, to allow Cunha the space, the time, and to also make runs. And Cunha is incredible. And I almost did go for Cunha. One of the main reasons I didn't is because I knew that I have you that will just go for the big names and all the flashy toys, and you'll quickly grab those. So I knew that I could shine a light on players that football heads will understand, and not just all the strikers and the names and the ones that they see when they look on the app and see who scored and got the assist. And he's just, and considering that I do genuinely believe that Aït-Nouri is a winger and should never be anywhere near a defence. And apart from the Chelsea game where he did make a few mistakes, he's doing so well. He's almost becoming a Kyle Walker in terms of his recovery pace and how he gets the ball back so well. He's strong, but his attacking threat in terms of just an attacking fullback, he might be the best this league, even slightly over Trent. I think Trent has been better defensively, maybe suffered slightly in the attacking area. Aït-Nouri's done everything, and I think he's been so important to Wolves. And for me personally, slightly more important than Cunha.
You're going to love my Brighton pick, is all I'm going to say. And I nearly picked João Pedro. Nearly picked João Pedro for Brighton. But I maybe have allowed a little bit of my, bit like I did with Smith Rowe, perhaps, allowed.
Yeah, you've gone Danny Welbeck, and it's the right answer.
I've gone Danny Welbeck.
It's the right answer.
Brighton have always been good to watch, and for the most part, and they are a solid and tough to beat. And on the day you fancy they can take points off anyone, Danny Welbeck has been key this season. He's been scoring goals better than I think he's ever done, and he can score every type of goal. He's great. He's actually underrated in the air for me. I think he's really good in the air. He's always been a good finisher, but he's showing it this season. And when he's fit, if they can keep him fit, that is so important. But if they can keep him fit and he's on it, I think if we continue to see the best of him, I think Brighton are on for a really, really good season. And I think he's going to be at the heart of that if they can keep him fit and keep him on it like they have.
So with this one, kind of like what the reason I don't hate this one either is because it's kind of similar. Obviously, I've got no Arsenal ties to him.
Mm-hmm.
I love Danny Welbeck, and this was the only team I looked at. And the reason it was so hard is because I think every single player is just as important as the next. I think Matoma, João Pedro, Danny Welbeck, Dunk, Webster, all the youngsters from Paraguay and wherever else they dig them up from in that midfield, to the goalie, to the left back, to the right back, all of it is so important that I think they are just, it's the system. And I think that makes it so hard to judge one individual. So I just went for my favourite, which is Danny Welbeck. And that's the only reason why, because I think if you could have said anybody, I wouldn't have been annoyed. You could have said, well, I think Dunk maybe would have upset me a little bit, but pretty much anybody else, if you'd have said like, Webster or even James Milner, I just think when they play, they all do it. They all play to the system so well that I don't think anyone necessarily stands out. But yeah, I think it would have been Pascal Gross, to be honest, but obviously he's gone to Dortmund now. I think he definitely had a bit of cutting edge about him, but now I think that they all kind of just are just as good as the next. But yeah, I've gone Danny Welbeck.
Yeah. I like I say, I really do like the guy. So yeah, I was quite happy to pick him here. Heading over to Brentford, I thought this was actually kind of tough again.
Have you gone for Mbeumo?
I have gone for Mbeumo. No, you laugh. You have to admit though, Embuemo has stepped up big time, hasn't he? He has stepped up big time. I know. Oh,
Has he?
okay. Well, yeah, I think he has. I mean, Ivan Tony, obviously, he was always going to leave a void. I know he. I know he obviously didn't play a lot of last season as well, but him leaving was always going to cause a void. When you lose, the, well, you'd say the star player at any club, it's always going to be difficult. Embuemo, I feel, has stepped up and he's more consistent now. And that's the thing. That's where I'm getting at is I think the consistency is there more with him now than it has been before. I've
So that
always
makes him more important.
but I've always found him a bit flashy and thought that, we can see signs of what a good player he could be, but he doesn't always, well, yeah, you can go large swathes of time without it. But I feel like he's added some consistency to his game now. And I would be hard pressed to see a time when they don't. If he's fit, he plays, and I think he has been. I think he's one of the ones who have stepped up the most in Ivan Tony going. So for me, that's
Disagree.
okay. Well, let's hear your pick.
Brentford is a team that I really like for one reason.
Mhm.
Ben Me. So I'd take an interest heavily. Not my pick isn't Ben Me, but I just want to quickly get that out there.
Yeah.
But I take an interest heavily in Brentford.
Mhm.
And Bemo, he is playing definitely more consistently. That what you said there is true. But he's not doing it. He is so wasteful. I mean, he scored about 4 goals in the first 30 seconds. If you actually watch those games, he spends the next 90 minutes and whatever else smacking them as high out the stadium as he possibly can. He he has no sense, that boy. None whatsoever. He is just slightly, ever so slightly more intelligent than Adama Traore. It's like they've given him slightly more of a brain and a bit less pace. You want to talk about someone that stepped up, and Brentford for me, because they do not have the funds of a Premier League team. They are very much for me a team that are just like Burnley every season, and they're just biding their time until they get relegated. And it's now a case of when do the good players go, and when does Thomas Frank go before this happens. They don't have any youth or anything, so I really feel like Brentford are operating. Like what you said about Brennan Johnson this season, Brentford are like Brennan Johnson. Is all going to go bust in a minute. So this player who didn't even get picked at the start because he was seen as a winger, but has been playing up front with Mbeumo, is Wissa. And when I read these things out, this is a striker. This is goals win games, right? He has scored 78% of the shots he's had on target. If he just has a shot in general, 47% of the time, that will be a goal. He's only played 59% of Brentford's overall minutes this season, but has 36% goal participation. So that's 9 appearances. I think it works out about 600 and something minutes with 7 goals and an assist. That is a clinical striker. That is goals win games personified. And with a team that are going to be battling out, who have lost Ivan Tony, who cannot replace, these sort of players with other flashy players and have to really use the bare bones, and have then taken a winger, brought him in slightly later into the season when a few games are already gone, and to slot in and be that clinical for me, that your whole argument for all these other strikers that you've just chucked in because you don't watch these teams, that is a clinical striker, and that is goals win games personified. The stats don't get better than that. I'd like to see Haaland get those stats, donkey.
Well, I tell you what, it's a spirited defense of Wissa. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't like Brentford, and I don't like it, but fair
But
enough.
you've got to admit, how clinical is that? Though?
Yeah. No. I must admit, I didn't realize the numbers were quite that good, but they are impressive. So no, I should give you I'll give you props for unearthing that one. So let's
Oh,
head back.
they're all awful now.
Yeah, I know,
These are
but
all you've really left the worst ones at the end. I mean, if this ever does go out, they're going to go now because this is just bad.
no, I think we can hold people's views here. So let's talk Everton. Now, my pick. My pick is there any more of a Sean Dyche player than Dwight McNeil?
Oh, and do you know? I wish before we done it, we predicted each other's.
Well, did you know I was going to go
I
here?
would be. I'd wake everybody up in this house. I'd be screaming bingo.
Yeah, but he's a key outlet for Everton. And do you know what? Let's be real here. Let's be fair here. His numbers are decent this season for where Everton are and what Everton are playing like.
Yeah, you sound like you definitely know what you're talking about.
They are. I think they're okay. I think his numbers are decent. And but the reason why I'm going to say he's the most important, right, is if he's out of the team, I feel Everton are worse off, and Everton cannot afford to be worse off. They have no wiggle room to be worse off, and they are worse off without Dwight McNeil. Good player.
No, 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 no. You,
Okay.
what you've just said at the end there is just a perfect way for me to tell you who the most important player is,
Okay.
and that's Jordan Pickford.
Hmm.
If Jordan Pickford isn't in that team, like Onana, think about how poor Man United have been, how wide open they are defensively. It's
Hmm.
exactly the same with Everton. They lost Ben Godfrey, who's now playing in Italy. They've lost Brentford, one of their better centre backs, to an injury. They
Hmm.
signed Lewis O'Brien, who Sean Dyche refuses to play. So they are literally operating with bare bones again. You know, Michael Keane's still around,
Yeah.
um, and Jordan Pickford makes some unbelievable saves. You know, a lot of people say, "How is he still England's number one?" But you have to respect the fact that he's in quite possibly the most awful side to ever exist in football ever. And with Sean Dyche operating here, he's just bad. Um, and he is just such an insane goalkeeper. He deserves to be at the tippity top of whatever club, or whatever country. He's an unbelievable goalkeeper. And if they lost Jordan Pickford to an injury, oh my God, it would be horrendous. Absolutely, absolutely horrendous. More so than Dwight McNeil, please.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, I'm going to have to call you out on this because you've done something in this list which really, really winds me up, right? That's the third time I've been keeping count. That's the third time now that you have picked a goalkeeper for your most important player.
Okay, so let's take out Keller, yeah,
Yeah.
because I even conceded that it was Salah. I just wanted to go with someone that wasn't Salah and shine a light on someone who I think is playing really well this season. And I
Hmm.
think even you and a lot of people, if you go out and watch pundits or YouTubers or whoever, they would tell you that Keller's having a very good season
Hmm.
and is doing such a good job as being backup to the best goalkeeper in the world. Is that fair?
Yes.
But I fully said, fair enough, it can be Salah. And look, if it makes you that upset, I will happily have it as Salah. I just wanted to shine a light on someone else.
Hmm.
As you did, by the way, you also said you could have easily done Salah, but you wanted to say Van Dijk. So I don't see what I've done wrong there. Um, you then said that you wanted to do lines and hurt yourself and all this personal caper because you didn't put Onana.
Yeah.
And then Pickford, I genuinely think if we were to go out and talk to people and we said Everton play tomorrow, Dwight McNeil gets dropped or Pickford gets dropped, what would you rather? I, apart from Dwight McNeil, who probably just doesn't want to get dropped, and you would probably say, everyone else would say, well, absolutely Jordan Pickford cannot get dropped. In my opinion, I actually don't even think that's crazy to say. I didn't even want to have a goalie on Jordan Pickford on there because I know I talk about Jordan Pickford a lot and I didn't want it to seem like I'm just picking favourites. But genuinely, it's just that bad there. And I think he is, I mean, he's the only player there. Does that is not just a really solid player who could go to another team. I don't, that's why he still holds down his England spot. You know, who else there is getting called up to elite national teams?
Well, yes, fair enough. And yeah, yes, but I just find the whole goalkeeper pick just to be so dull.
Okay. Well, you're gonna hate it in a bit because there's one more still yet,
Oh, goody. Well, I'll
but
tell you
it's
what.
fine. Look, we can annoy each other because there's four teams left, so there'll be four more strikers that I'll get annoyed about, and then there can be a goalie to set you off.
I actually don't have any more strikers, so this is about to
Oh,
step
really?
into it. Yeah.
I've got one more striker.
Okay. So I want to head to the south coast. I want to get the bucket and spade out, and I want to build sandcastles on Bournemouth Beach. So I've picked Semenyo for Bournemouth. The re- and this was tough for me because I actually feel like Bournemouth, one of those kind of sides where I feel like everyone's playing well. but I don't think anyone stood out and gone and then screamed at me and said, I'm the most undroppable important player here at Bournemouth. But with Semenyo, and I actually don't think his numbers are all that impressive. So it's not like I've just picked a stat and gone, well, he's done well. But for me, he is just involved in everything. He's just everywhere, all over the pitch. I reckon he's probably a dream for his teammates because he is everywhere and all over the pitch. And I just think with Semenyo, I just feel like, yes, all right, 5 direct goal involvements could be better. But when you're involved in everything,
I'm so annoyed.
no, but you can't be annoyed
I
because
am.
you were to
Are
ask
you
his teammates if
describing?
they want
Oh, hold
Semenyo.
on. Are you describing Hudson Odoi? Are you describing Ain't Nuri? Are you describing Leif Davis? Are you describing Morgan Rogers?
Well,
Sounds like you are.
okay,
You could be.
maybe Hudson Odoi, but so that's why I've gone Semenyo. So who have you gone for?
Just quickly, because obviously I hope that all of the episodes we record and everything we do is good enough to go out and that we're happy with it, right? So I have to treat this as if that is that. And if this ever does go out there and anyone ever listens to it, just a disclaimer, you've picked Semenyo because you like him on your FIFA evolution. When do you sit there and watch Bournemouth play and appreciate Semenyo? I'm not having this. I'm not having this.
Okay.
I've gone Tavernier.
Okay.
Same. I mean, we said this before we even spoke on here. Bournemouth are one of the harder teams to pick because it's the same again. I think with Brighton, they just play so well under their manager. They're all playing above what you would expect. There's a few players that stand out, like Kerkeres. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Semenyo. I think even Kluivert's been playing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Christie's been playing quite well. Cook, is kind of having a little resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Tavernier, he does corners. Before Evan Nilsson came in, he was on penalties. He does free kicks. He can score screamers. I don't know. I like Tavernier, and I think that he's usually at the focal point of most of the attacks, while Semenyo is just running around like a donkey, doing rings around people and stuff like that, and being everywhere all at once. Tavernier's impacting the game, and I just really like him. I think he could do. There's something to be said for him, maybe for not a top 6 team, but definitely a team, maybe a Tottenham. Sorry, not a top 6 team, a top 5 team, maybe a Tottenham or something. I actually do genuinely quite like him. So I've gone for him, but to be honest, I don't actually really hate Semenyo. I hate your reasonings, but I don't really hate anyone you pick as long as it isn't Kepa.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So, West Ham, I mean, good grief. I mean, I've been so just.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it is bad. This is bad, but I have gone for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Am I saying it right? I feel like I'm not saying it right. AWB.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he is a really, really good right back. He's no thrills. He's no frills. And I certainly wouldn't want him blasting down the right wing and trying to do a Trent. But it might not be fancy, but he is effective. And I really, really think he was a really good signing for Manchester United. And I think he is a very, very important player at West Ham, even though I can't sit there and wax lyrical about much else when it comes to West Ham. I will wax lyrical about him because sometimes you need no nonsense. Sometimes you need somebody who can do the job.
I really like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but he's not the most important. No team ever in the history of ever has had a right back as their most important player. And I think the way I look to this is actually it kind of fit nicely actually because you picked an English right back.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone for their captain, Jarrod Bowen, because they are in a difficult position right now where they're losing fans that aren't on their side. They're not backing the manager. The manager, is he going to stay? Is he going to get sacked?
Mm-hmm.
Style of play isn't working. But no matter what changes, is what will be ever present is Jarrod Bowen will be starting. He'll be the captain. He will get the fans on side. he just very much feels like what Mark Noble did, where he just epitomizes the club.
Or even Deck Rice.
What?
Or even Deck Rice. But anyway, Karen.
I'm not talking about Deck Rice. Does he play for West Ham?
Well, no, nor's about Noble.
No.
I'm just saying, Deck Rice epitomises everything good
No,
about West Ham. But anyway, Karen.
no. I'm on about because Bowen's still there and Bowen didn't leave.
Mm.
How can Deck Rice epitomise it when he left?
Well, I just meant, when he was there, he was the captain. He
Right,
was
listen, I didn't interrupt you with nonsense. So, and I think for that reason, holding the team together, and again, when watching them, he's still so vocal. He has the passion. You can see that sometimes there's a few players in there. Paqueta doesn't seem to care. Kudus at times doesn't seem to care. They just want to do their step overs and their cool tricks and get their bets and their match fixing. And Bowen cares. And why I would say that's more important is no one said that Gary Neville was the most important in Man United's success as an English right back. But what you might say is Captain Roy Keane was very important. So that's kind of my thinking there. I'm not saying obviously they're at the level of those players, but it can't be a right back. It can't be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So for me, I had to go Bowen.
Well, you're going to enjoy the right backs I have lined up here. So Leicester, I've gone for James Justin. No, no, please. I really like James Justin. I think he is.
No. What's happened here? No, I'm being actually serious, right? It was this can't go out, Jack.
Why?
Because it's gone from the best. Oh, I think this player, Rodri. I think this. I think this. I think this. Emil Smith Rowe. Oh, I really like him. James Justin. Oh, I just really like him. Semenyo. No, I just really like him.
No, but
Aaron Wan-Bissaka. No, I really like him.
yeah, but what?
Oh
James...
my god, is it seriously right? Just for a second, right? Because this can all get edited out. So just time out. Do you fully believe that James Justin is the most important player at Leicester Football Club?
I think if James Justin,
Answer it, Jack.
maybe not the. If James Justin,
Is
if you were
he?
buying someone at Leicester, would you buy James Justin?
What does that even mean?
Well, because you're going
Well,
to
do I need
buy.
a right back? I might have everyone else but a right back, so maybe.
Yeah, but
I might get Piera.
I just think with someone like James Justin, I'm
Right.
trying to.
So hold on a minute. Hold on. Right, because that doesn't. The whole buying thing doesn't matter. Because if you say you had an injury crisis, like Ben White right now, right, and you needed to get a right back just quickly, and James Justin was on the market, you'd get him. Doesn't mean is then James Justin the most important player at Arsenal? No.
No.
No, seriously, so I'm gonna have a mental breakdown.
Okay.
So I just need, because if we are going to do this podcast and we're going to talk about football, I need to just know a straight answer. Do you believe that James Justin is the most important player right now at Leicester?
No.
Okay, so who is? Because this is the list we're doing.
If we're not going for James Justin,
No, we're doing a list of most important players. We planned this out.
yeah, then I think I actually like Pereira as a shout. He was him. I was looking no, and I was looking at
You've
him.
gone for someone injured.
I was because
Reece James is the most important player at Chelsea.
yeah, but Pereira is a good player. But I also think Ndidi has definitely got. I think he's playing better than what he did last time they were in the Prem.
Okay, well he should have been sent off against Chelsea, and he was awful.
But he has improved from when he was last.
Okay.
In the Prem.
Anyway, you before you name me the 11,
Yeah.
who in your opinion, who is the most important player at Leicester?
Jamie Vardy.
Correct. He's their captain. He knows what it is to be Leicester. They're in such a difficult period. They went down. They've come back up. They've just lost their manager. Right now, he is the most important player at that club. Everyone can turn against James Justin. Everyone can turn against this player, that player, their manager. everything. What the fans will never do is turn against Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, but it was just such an obvious pick, and I was trying to go different, and a bit like you did. I didn't want to. I wanted to shine a light on.
No. Because Keller, for me, has still been one of the best players in that squad, most important player in that squad. And like when I said it, I didn't just say it to try and rage bait you. I genuinely believe that. It's just obviously Salah. But I just wanted to shine a light on a player because there can be more than one player that's doing really well. But James Justin isn't even doing well.
He
That's
scored
what's
a
upsetting me.
great goal against Arsenal.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Um,
Right, should we get the last team out of the way?
yeah. I mean, look, I found this really really hard. I mean, no one's really scoring any goals, you know.
Cameron Archer's doing all right.
Yeah, and then obviously Adam Armstrong as well has got 3 goal involvements.
God.
No, I know, but I would probably have to pick. Well, I mean, I didn't mind. I thought Joe Aribo. I looked at.
What?
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to pick.
He can't even get nailed on the spot.
No, yeah, but Southampton. I mean, Tyler Dibbling, I think has played okay.
Yeah, Diblin is definitely one. I had Diblin written down until I scribbled him out for my name. I put down now, but not just right now. But Diblin was there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I found this really, really hard to pick. So, in lieu of anybody else, I can't really talk much about him, but I'll go with Tyler Dibbling.
Okay, I went for Aaron Ramsdale
Oh, well. I mean, oh, really?
because no team so far has faced more shots than them, and I promise you, and you know this, no team by the end of the season would have faced more shots than them. They are atrocious.
Yeah.
Um, and he has a job now to keep them up.
Mm-hmm.
And he really does, because he also has to prove it to himself, prove it to Arsenal, and obviously he's done a lot of interviews on it, and not to get relegated again. And I think it's a big signing for Southampton. You know, it's not one that you would have assumed them to get, and they're getting a goalkeeper of that level to stay up. You know, they could have maybe used those funds to get a couple of centre backs or a midfielder or another striker to add a few more goals. But they went and got a very, very talented goalkeeper at a top team that's going to cost big dollar to obviously stay up and stop shots. So, and because they are going to face so many, because whatever is it, Russell Martin? It is Russell Martin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just refuses to just say, okay, my defenders defend now and stop running around like chickens. And so for me, it has to be Aaron Ramsdale, because it's a bit like you say, oh, the top strikers have to just score more, and that's how you win games. But they don't have that. So what they now need, a bit like with Jordan Pickford and why he's in there, and Onana, when all of these attackers just aren't doing well, is then what you need is you need your goalie to dig you out and still rescue you points. So yeah, Aaron Ramsdale, and I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. But I just think this Southampton team might be one of the worst I've ever watched in the Prem.
Yeah.
And it might just be a kindness to relegate them now. The fans can't be having fun. We're not having fun.
No, I agree. Oh, I'll tell you what. I feel like at the end there, we all got into you got heated in places. You didn't like James Justin, which I can understand.
You just started picking people you fancied.
It's not that I fancy. I just fancy. Well, no.
Oh,
sorry.
I'll keep that in.
It's I just wanted to shine a light, like a bit like you did in Liverpool.
Yeah, but then you could have done that, couldn't you? Because I said, look, I know that it's Salah, but I think that I'm going to talk about Keller. You could have said, we all know it's Vardy because it's obviously Jamie Vardy. But can I just say, James Justin abs?
Well, yeah, okay. I wanted a little bit of excitement. I wanted a bit of spice.
And when you listen to this back, and if people listen to this, if it goes or whatever, there will be a theme here. It was all going well, and then you had a rut of about the last 6 players, and your entire argument was, "Oh, I like them. They look really good in their shirt, don't they?" Oh God, and that's all it was. The last 6, you really let yourself down.
Well, do you know what the good thing is though is when people listen to this, what we want, and we've always said this, what we want is for people to get involved. We want people to listen to this. We want people to be furious with my answers. We want them to agree with your answers. We want to hear people's lists. We want someone else to tell us their most important players, all 20 Premier League sides.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear if you agree with us. We want to hear if you disagree with us. We just want to hear from you because we want to build something here where, we can talk and enjoy the football. We can talk and enjoy the other things we're going to talk about. We want to build a community. I know it sounds a little bit corny, a little bit cliche, but we do. That's what we want to do here.